the one, the only, Bencio Good morning and welcome to Yeshiva YouTube, Ideally Speaking. Today we continue this book, 10 Dumb Mistakes That Smart Couples Make. We're in the second half of chapter 7 over here. He starts off by the second half, he must respect her more than himself. He explains why the Rambam says that it's more important that you're mechabe your wife more than yourself. He says the reason is because men aren't as sensitive. Women are more sensitive. If you insult a woman, she's gonna, as he says, replay it on loop in her mind. She won't forget it, and it's pretty hard for them, which is true, 100%. They get insulted more. I disagree with a couple things he says over here. First of all, he says, ladies first. He says, unfortunately, the world has lost much of its sense of propriety. Basic expressions of decency and manners have been abandoned. The world has become coarse, vulgar, and unrefined, and humanity pays a heavy price for it. But that isn't the way of the Torah, and it doesn't belong in the Jewish home. When I was growing up, the concept of ladies first, quote unquote, was a given. My mother drilled into us that you act differently toward a woman. You speak differently. Certain terms and expressions that are fine among the boys are not appropriate when talking to a woman. That was just the way things were done. That was how respectable people acted. These aren't small, irrelevant niceties, relics of the past. These acts demonstrate in word, deed, and action that you are important to me. You are cherished. She's not one of the boys, as he says. Now, I want to talk about something over here that is I feel very strongly about, and that is that men are first, husbands are first. I say this many times. When it doesn't mean you shouldn't treat your wife like a queen. You should treat your wife like a queen. But you can only treat her like a queen if you're a king. Right? A woman's not going to be a king. She can be a queen. She'll never be a queen, even if you treat her like a queen, unless you're a king. Because the queen needs the king. So you have to make sure that you're the king, and you come first in the marriage. It's hard for men to do this, especially in a firm world. We're taught about the mitzvah of Ahavta l'oreach kamocha, that you're supposed to be considerate of other people's needs, their wants, desires. The more you learn Torah, the more you separate yourself from yourself, and you think about doing things for other people, acts of kindness, kamilas chasadim. The truth of the matter is that if you want to have a successful marriage, you have to value yourself. Why? I think the most important reason is because if you don't value yourself, a lady will never value you. I read a story in Mishpacha magazine once that, there was a comment among kollel couples before every chag. The husband, there's an obligation seemingly in the Torah to buy jewelry for your wife. He took her to some store, to buy a bracelet, let's say a sterling silver bracelet. Maybe if they had it on discount, maybe it was like 200 shekel, like $50, $60. And that's what he did every one of the 3 regalim. That's what he did for her. He bought her some new jewelry that was cheap jewelry. Get your wife gold. If you're going to buy her jewelry, buy her something nice. Gold, maybe little diamonds, expensive stuff. This cheap stuff is cheap. But this is what he did. They didn't have a big budget. So he never bought anything for himself, the husband. And this is true of most husbands. They don't buy anything for themselves. They can be great husbands. They'll buy anything their wife wants, anything the kids want. They'll be very flexible with that. But with them, they'll say, I don't need anything. This is the way I used to be. I don't need anything. But the story was that the husband saw a watch that he liked. I don't know if he was wearing a watch or he was wearing a Casio one, the one with the black straps, the black plastic straps, the rubber straps. So he liked the watch there. Now, it wasn't that expensive. Maybe it was 250 shekel, I think it was. And he told his wife, I like it. His wife was really excited that he should get it, even though there's no mitzvah that a man should get jewelry. But, maybe, because in the Haredi society, the woman is really the man and the man is really the woman. The woman should be buying jewelry for the man. Anyway, the point is that he got the watch and he put it in his closet. He was waiting to wear it on Yontif. And every day he would look at the watch and he was so excited. And the woman, this is in the woman's part of Mishpacha magazine, Family First, she's describing this about her husband. It made her feel so good that she had a husband that valued himself. If a husband's not going to value himself, then no one's going to value him. Einan ili mili. The best person that can believe in you, that can give value to you, is you. If you don't put yourself first, if you don't make yourself the king, if things in life don't make a difference to you, and we're talking about the physical world, the spiritual world is not something women relate to. You could be the biggest Talmud Chacham. The women might be told in seminary, give him a lot of kavod. Everyone, the Gadol Ador, the paparazzi's going around snapping pictures of Chaim Kanievsky. But at the end of the day, it's not relevant to a woman. She wants in the physical, materialistic world for you to value yourself. A watch, some nice clothes, some nice cologne, some nice shoes. Not the expensive. You don't have to buy a fancy car. It's not something, it's not the big ticket items. It's those small items, how you look. Because a wife, it's very important that her husband dresses well, right? Besides the fact that he looks dignified, she's attracted to him more if he dresses well. He takes care of his appearance. Those things are really important to a woman. You should invest in those things. You don't have to invest that much money to dress well. I mean, comparatively to buying big ticket items like a car and a house, or going on fancy vacations, think smaller. I always say, don't think too much about those purchases that are $100, $200. Think about those purchases that are $5,000, $10,000. Those set you in debt. You want to buy a new house to compete with your friends, a new car to compete with your friends. That's going to put you in serious debt. That's a lot of money you're spending over there. You could be paying that for many years. You could be paying that off that debt. You buy some Nautica shirt. How much do you think this Nautica shirt cost me on Amazon? It was like $30. And the free shipping to Israel. I think I have a Tommy Hilfiger one I spent $50 on. I have a Ralph Lauren one that I spent maybe $80 or $100 on. But it makes me valuable. It makes me feel good about myself, and it brings value. My watch over here, right? It's a pretty cool watch. You can see it over here. Right? It's a smart watch. If you don't know, it's a Fossil smart watch. I got it for my birthday. I bought it for myself for my birthday. I told my wife, I'll take care of my birthday present. I ordered it. It was like $350. It's a smart watch. It's cool. Fossil Generation 6. Really cool. Works good with Android. I have Samsung phones. So, that's basically what it comes down to. You got to value yourself. I have, many different types of shoes. Yes, I paid money for these things, but it brings value to me as a person. And you got to worry about yourself first. And this is what the point I want to come back to is conversation with a woman. Yes, you shouldn't be rude. You shouldn't be insulting. Don't tell her she looks ugly. Don't tell her she looks fat. Don't tell her she has a nasty personality. But when you want to attract a woman, like you said, you don't talk to a boy, but you don't talk nice to them. If you're too nice to a woman, they're not going to like you. If you're the nice guy, they'll put you in the friend zone. They're not going to want you. No woman wants a guy who's nice. They don't want a guy who's mean and is inconsiderate of them. So what do they want? They want a guy who knows how to flirt with them. And flirting basically means to talk down to women, not in a mean way, to tease them in a funny way, and tell them basically, I'm better than you. That's really what flirting is. Flirting is saying, I'm a little bit better than you in this. Tease them a little bit. I'm better at this than you. Come on, you're a little slow with this. Tease them. Have a good time. Women want to be talked down to. They don't want to be superior than men. Women don't want to be alpha females. And men are not attracted to alpha females. But they want you to be an alpha male, and they want you to flirt with them, to tease them, to have fun with them, to talk down to them. That's what creates vitality in a marriage. That's what creates vitality in the male-female relationship. That's just the way it is. That's the way the world works. So this is not just applicable when you're dating. It's applicable after marriage. If you want to keep your wife someone who loves you, someone who cherishes you, someone who'll be loyal to you, you have to develop this skill. Realize that you have to value yourself, and you have to tease your wife and flirt with her. Not all the time. Listen, you have a family, you have financial responsibilities, you have familial responsibilities. You want to take care of those things in a normal fashion. You talk intellectually. Not all of life is a joke, but there has to be certain times during your day or during your week where you're joking around with your wife and having a good time. That's just part of an essential relationship in having a good marriage. He even brings a story here from Parshas Lech Lecha, where Rashi says that Avram, when he pitched his tent, he pitched his wife's tent first, Sarah's tent first. and then he pitched his tent first. Now, most people will say this is an act of chesed, or how you treat your wife. He honors her. This is what he's picking as an example of someone who honors his wife more than he honors himself. To me, if it was me, I'd pitch my tent first, to be honest with you. Just because it says in the Torah, he says, it's true that they had the most perfect marriage ever known to mankind, but it wasn't by chance. Who in the world says that Avram Avinu and Sarah's marriage was perfect? If you look in the Torah, it's clear that it wasn't perfect at all. You know, she didn't have any children. He took in Hagar. Sarah was very unhappy with Avram, the fact that he was close to Hagar more because she had a child with him, and then he didn't know if he should listen to Sarah. Hashem said Shema B'kola, sent her away. You know, then apparently he remarried her at a later time, according to Rashi. So there was a lot of friction, a lot of things going wrong. You know, they didn't even have good communication. You know, he didn't even look at his wife, right? When they went down to Mitzrayim, Rashi says that he only saw her for the first time. Now I know that you're beautiful. I'm sorry, if you're in a marriage and you're not looking at your wife, she's going to be disrespected. It's not. Who says, the Torah is honest, who says Avram and Sarah had the best marriage? When Torah points out that something, it doesn't tell you, right? We always judge everything in a positive light, say, oh, the Avos, they did everything right. I'm not saying the Avos did everything wrong, but their lives were portrayed in front of us. Some things they did right, some things they didn't do right. And when Rashi's bringing this, he doesn't mean it necessarily as a compliment to Avram Avinu. He's just telling you the facts. The Torah lets you make your own judgment. And, right, if you're too nice to your wife, she's not going to like you. I'm sorry. That's just the truth. Any woman is not going to like you. She likes you more when you take care of her. Doesn't mean you're not considerate to her. Treat her like a queen. But first, treat yourself like a king. Then she'll be a queen. Last point I want to bring over here is he talks about mind reading. He says, one last point for a woman. Nevuah, or prophecy, ended with the destruction of the second Beis Hamikdash. Your husband cannot read your minds. An example, a couple is sitting on the couch talking. They're even looking at each other. He suddenly notices that she has a long face. Dear, you look so upset. What's the matter? Nothing. No, really, dear. I respect you, see you're upset. Please tell me what's wrong. No, it's nothing. You sure? Yeah, it's nothing. He stops asking. At that moment, she starts thinking, what's wrong with him? Doesn't he see that I'm upset? Doesn't he realize I'm hurt? Why doesn't he ask me what's wrong? He's such a cold, callous person. The reason he stopped asking is because he's male. If a man is bothered by something and wants to share it, he's going to say so clearly. If a woman says she doesn't want to share it, he believes her. She can't assume that her husband knows what she really means, that she wants him to help her open up. So men can't read women's minds, but doesn't mean you shouldn't try. And there's practice. The way you practice is by spending time around women. Not saying if you're married to spend time around other women, but there's always women in your family, whether you have sisters or a mother or daughters or even sister-in-laws. Spend time among women. Learn about women. You can't read the mind of a woman if you don't spend any time around women. Even if you spend time with your wife, that's not enough, right? One person, you can't make generalizations from one person. But if you spend enough time around women, you develop the ability to see into the world a little bit. And also as a husband and a father, if you can take on some of the responsibilities that a woman does to help her, not that you should be the primary one, cleaning your house, cooking, changing diapers, doing the laundry, cleaning up your room, all these things that are women's jobs, classically, spending time with your children, taking care of your children, administering medicine to your children, bringing them to the doctor, things like that. These are technically women's jobs, or thought of as women's jobs traditionally. But you should be familiar with them, be able to do them, be able to do all of them. You shouldn't be doing them instead of your wife, because that's treating her like a queen and you're a drone. But you want to be a king, but you want to help your wife. You want to be considerate and help her. So you have to be able to know how to do these things. And the more you know these things, and the more time you spend around women, and you have conversations about things that are important to women, like clothing and interior design, and tablescapes and things like that, and food and cooking. If you know about a lot of these things, you can, enter the female mentality a little bit and understand what's going on with her. And I don't know. I don't feel that this is true. I feel that, you know, even if my wife is looking down, like I'm pretty much right away, I know exactly why she's upset. If something I did, I know exactly why she's upset. And if it's something that's not relevant to me, that's happened with someone else, she usually tells me right away. And that's all part of communication, part of feeling comfortable with each other, which goes again back to the bedroom. You shouldn't have to ask so many times. So she should be telling you. Men also would like women to read their minds, you know, and I think it's the opposite. He says men will tell you straight out. Most men are not so talkative, and they don't even know the reasons that something's bothering them. And when they know the reasons, they're often reluctant to tell their wives. They should be more expressive to their wives. You have to communicate. Men have to communicate better. Men are far worse communicators overall than women. They have to learn this skill to be good communicators, both in the bedroom and outside the bedroom. And if they have a problem, they have to voice it. They have to tell the woman, because women generally aren't good at figuring out men's minds, but men should be good at figuring out women's minds. And that's really all I have to say about this chapter. It was a short chapter. We'll start chapter 8 next week. It's titled Learning to Live Together. I'm curious to see what he has to say. Hope you enjoyed today's lecture. See you next week.